Hello everybody, welcome back. I hope you all are having fun in this course, and this is the Penetration Testing and Methodologies course. This one is class 4, and I've titled this class as Guidelines for Security Testing and Phases for Pen Testing. Well, I've broken this class into 4 major parts, so each part will give you a few topics, of course. So this is part 1, and I want to go over the guidelines for security checking. And in this I will get you familiar with the operational strategies for security testing and also security categories of the information system. So, well, let's begin. To start with, let's talk about the guidelines for security checking. First, let me start with this topic, right? I want to go over, of course, the guidelines. What are the guidelines for security checking? So key things to remember here is that the routine and the testing routine, I would say, prevents any incidents which may occur in the first place. So you have to have a routine, a testing routine in place. Also, testing on network security in areas such as system configurations, operations, and administration should be conducted routinely, I would say. So during the process of checking, so during the process of network security testing, the testing team should verify that all the systems are configured properly and with the proper access and with the proper device permissions, right? So that is also a key. So again, testing on significant equipments should be performed initially. Some of the more important and commonly accessible systems, or I would say which are open to public access, are your firewalls, web servers, your email servers. All the warning instructions should be followed to make sure that you have significantly tested that while maintaining the access also. So there are certain types of testing such as your network scanning, vulnerability testing, your penetration testing that require strict caution to be followed. So basically testing can reproduce or in some cases the signs of an attack through testing. You can do that, right? So it is an initial and primitive way to make sure that you secure your system. So it is very essential, I would say, that the process of testing is to be done in a coordinated manner and with, of course, the full knowledge and permission of the organization and the associated officials or associated people from that organization. So that is also a key set of your guidelines for security checking. All right. Further on, the security policies and the policies which you are working with should serve as a proper guideline for the organization and the organization needs and requirements. That is very key, right? So testing can reveal unknown vulnerabilities. So incorporating security testing events into the procedure of risk management can decrease those vulnerabilities. So security testing policies is very important. So another is professionals who have been trained in handling system and network operations should perform the security testing. There is a very key thing which you should know, everybody should know. You don't need to do any trial and errors when it comes down to a real engagement. Keep it very professional. People who are specifically have that resume of system and network operations should always do security testing, because it's a very sensitive part of penetration testing, right? Because the task of system administration is always very complex and it has comes with a lot of limitations to systems, and also organizations should have a sufficient number of administrators, I would say, with those necessary skill sets to perform system administration and security testing. So it is all done in a methodological way and is all properly done. All right. So all systems should be kept up to date is one of the main things with the proper patches. So that is also one thing which is a part of your guidelines for security checking. All right. So moving on with the guidelines, so it may become essential when you're doing your patching to patch numerous systems based on results of your security testing, right? So applying patches in a subtle manner can sharply reduce vulnerability exposure which you may be open to. So vulnerability testing may produce false positive scores, or may not spot some types of problem areas or problems exceeding the detection capabilities of the tools. So penetration testing is a valuable complement to vulnerability testing that is aimed to reveal these hidden vulnerabilities. So make use of that, make proper use of that, and follow that fully. Another is, let's move on to the operational strategies for security testing. So the objective of performing a security test is to minimize the benefit of benefit of redundancy for an organization. So from an operational point of view, penetration testing helps in determining information security strategy by identifying vulnerabilities and measuring their impact and likelihood so that they can be managed proactively. So that is the key, right? You got to manage everything proactively. So in the operational and maintenance phases, penetration testing, for penetration testing, the types are basically a frequency involved, and the prioritization process is also based on some of these types. Some of the key ones are your security categories of the information system, your cost of conducting tests for each type, and also identifying systems to an organization system. So there are some of the key things that kind of evaluate your penetration testing types and frequencies. So, and they evolve, basically the prioritization process is part of that, right? So the decision of what to test during the implementation phase basically involves all the systems and all the systems which are part of the organization, I would say. So the senior IT manager should be involved in the prioritization process. So they should know to prioritize what is happening, what system to do. And so this is always to be done with a senior IT manager, somebody who has full control, access, and authority in this case. All right. So the security category of the information system. So the FIPS 199 is a Federal Information Processing Standards publication. That is FIPS, the Federal Information Processing Standards publication 199. Okay, what is it? So it basically provides standards to establish the security essentials for an organization and the organization's, I would say, information system. So that helps in upgrading or you can say the ranking of the system for the testing process. So the risks to an organization can be evaluated by using your security categories along with your information about the vulnerabilities and the information about the threats. So that is how the risk to an organization can be evaluated. So the FIPS publication 199 defines 3 levels of potential impact on an organization or an individual if there is a breach of security. Example, breach could be your loss of confidential information or confidentiality, loss of integrity or availability, right? So the 3 different levels are: number 1 low, number 2 moderate, and number 3 is high. Okay. So the potential impact is low if the impact or the loss of a confidentiality, integrity, and availability on organization assets or operations or individuals may be limited. So that's when the impact is said to be low. Okay. So this limited effect could have the following impacts. First one being the degradation in mission compatibility and capacity of an organization to perform major functions within a stipulated time period, or somewhat all those are affected, when the time period exceeds, so you cannot perform those actions within those time periods. Second again can be the degradation in frequency of the function of the organization. Other impact could be large damage to the assets of the organization and little loss of income. Those are all part of low impact, right? And finally, like damage to individuals is also a possibility when it comes down to low impact in this case. So the potential impact, so next one, let's talk about, moderate impact. What does moderate impact mean for an organization, right? So I would say like the impact is moderate if the impact or the potential loss of the three things, the confidentiality, integrity, and availability, could be adverse on organizations' assets, operations, or individuals, right? So this basically, I would say, adverse effect could have some impacts, of course, on an organization, and they could start with the degradation of mission compatibility and capacity of the organization to perform its major functions, which is very important. And these if you cannot perform major functions within a time period, it extremely affects the productivity of an organization. So that's why it comes into moderate impact. Secondly, little damage to assets of an organization are seen usually in this kind of impact, and significant loss of income is also part of this. And finally, harm to individuals may also lead to loss of life in some cases, or serious injuries. That is what is categorized as moderate impact. So now you understand low impact, you understood what do you mean by moderate impact. Let's go to high impact. So the potential impact is high if the impact of potential loss of confidentiality, integrity, and availability could be severe or catastrophic on organizations' assets, also on organizations' operations, and also individuals, So how would it play? So let me explain that. So basically a high level of impact could produce one severe degradation, or I would say like loss of mission capabilities and failure of the organization to perform even its day-to-day tasks or one or two of its primary functions. So it kind of cripples the organization, right? So second major damage to the assets of the organization could be there. The third major could be the loss of resources and income instantaneously. And another one could be like your harm to individuals of the organization, possibly again severe loss, injuries, or could be loss of life, seriously impacting individuals. So I hope you understand these three different levels also. All right. So with this, we are towards the end of class 4 part 1. I will see you in part 2 of class 4. Thank you for joining.